Glad to see some folks in our audience here today. Flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, let me officially declare this meeting of the Board of Supervisors now open. I don't think I did that. I do ask that you please turn off or mute your cell phones so that we don't have those interruptions during our meeting. Let's see, let me get my computer fired up here. We got a call-up sheet at the back, Mr. Carter?
Yes, sir. There's one.
Sign-up sheet?
Yes, sir. This one in the back.
Yeah, at the end of our regular agenda, we do open it up for public comments. We do ask that you sign up on the sheet at the back of the room. We encourage you to come forward and talk to us about things that of your concern as far as our county. All right, board, you have in your packet the minutes of the April 12th meeting. If there are no corrections to those minutes, need a motion to approve them.
Chairman, a motion to be approved the April 12th, 2021 minutes.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. On the agenda you have before you, I do have one addition under the county administrator's report, which is item I, add number 7. We have our Superintendent Mr. Nichols here this morning is going to give us an update on the schools. That's all that I have as far as any changes to the agenda. Anyone else have anything they wish to add at this time? If not, we need a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Motion to adopt the amended agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. First order of business this morning is we've got several public hearings to conduct. The first one, a special exception permit, the Morris application. Mr. Hendrick?
You have an application by Bentley Morris for a special exception permit to reopen a manufactured home park to allow for one additional manufactured home. This property identified as county tax number 13600-A-018, zone agriculture, is located on the west side of Morris Drive, approximately 500 feet north of its intersection with Highway 663, Cedar Grove Road, Southfield District, Election District 6, County of Mecklenburg. Reference D-Book LR-17-401 and Wheel Book WF-16-325.
Okay, is there anyone here representing the applicant that wishes to speak before we go to public hearing?
Sure. Thank you all for the opportunity to come speak with you all this morning. Morris's Mobile Home Park was in existence for many years under the direction of my grandfather. After his passing, I acquired the mobile home park. My residence is there, our permanent residence is there. So I'm the on site to oversee the mobile home park, and I made the decision to reopen the park due to the expansion of Microsoft and the need of housing. So there's already one mobile home on site. There's already another one that's been grandfathered in. We've worked with the county to go through the health department. A new septic system has been put in to support what I'm asking for today and everything, and all permits have been required to do that. So, any questions?
Question?
Well, it's 1.6 acres. How many homes are you putting
It'll be
on?
2 on that particular parcel.
2 on that part, okay.
Okay, any other questions? All right. Thank you, sir. All right, at this time, I will declare the public hearing open to consider the application for a special exception permit that you've just heard read by Mr. Hendrick. Anyone wishing to speak to this matter, please come forward at this time. Seeing no one, I declare this public hearing to be closed. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, motion to approve the application.
We have a motion to approve the application, which, by the way, was unanimously approved by the Planning Commission. So you've heard the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next is a rezoning application, the Garten application.
You have an application by Larry Garden to rezone his property from business B1 to agricultural. This property identified as county tax number 18000-007-003, zone business B1, is located on the north side of Highway 903, approximately 1 mile east of Highway 751, Gulf Drive. Lake Cross District, Election District 6, County of Mecklenburg, reference D-Book LR-20-508.
Thank you, sir. Anyone here representing the Larry Garden wishes to speak before we go to public hearing? Okay, I will declare the public hearing open now to consider this application. Anyone wishing to speak to this matter, please come forward. Seeing no one, the public hearing is now closed. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
All right, we had a motion to approve. This one was also unanimously approved by the Planning Commission. You've heard the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next, we have a special exception permit, the Downey application.
Application by Teresa Downey, Papa Bear's Cattle Corn, for a special exception permit to operate a neighborhood business. This property identified as county tax number 05100-double-circle-A-039D, zone agriculture, is located on the east side of Highway 92, approximately 800 feet of its intersection with 686 Esselon Road, Chase City District, Election District 7, County of Mecklenburg, reference Book LR-14-266.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone here representing Teresa Downey wishes to speak before we go to public hearing? All right, then I declare this public hearing to be open to consider this application. Anyone wishing to speak to this matter, please come forward. All right, seeing no one, I declare the public hearing to be closed. What's your pleasure, board?
Mr. Chairman, move to approve the application.
Motion to approve the application, which was also unanimously approved by the planning commission. Any discussion on the motion?
Well, just one question. What is the nature of that business? You know, what for the
They do festivals, popping kettle corn, and they want to be able to do that at their home to sell it, when people want it, like for events and that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you.
Don't they have a mobile trailer? that
Sure,
they-
yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next, we have a public hearing concerning conveyance of an easement in the Nocava subdivision. Mr. Slade, you want to?
Yes, sir. This is a matter which has been before the board in the past on a number of occasions. The Pegrams own a lot in North Carva. Their lot does not have a septic site that was approved on it, so there's an off-site septic system. In Virginia, when an approved subdivision is recorded, the road's ownership of the road shown on that plat transfer to the county. The responsibility for maintenance does not transfer, but ownership does. So the Pegrams need an easement conveyed from the county to allow them to run a sewer line under Dogwood Lane from their house to the septic drain field. Under Virginia law, a public hearing is required of the board before you can authorize a conveyance. I provided you for a resolution you can act on if you choose to do so after the public hearing.
Thanks, sir. Anybody have any questions of Mr. Slade before we go to public hearing? All right, the public hearing is now open to consider the proposed conveyance of an easement on Dogwood Lane in the Nocava subdivision. Anyone wishing to speak to this matter, please come forward. Seeing no one, I declare the public hearing closed. We have done several of these in the past, haven't we, Mr. Carter?
Yes, sir. Both on both lakes.
Right. Okay, board, we need a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion to adopt the ordinance. Any further discussion? Yes, sir. Yes.
I forgot to add something. The way the deed is prepared, the Pegrams join in to accept all liability in case there's an issue with how the construction proceeds, and the subdivision association joins in the deed to release the county from any liability. So the county's pretty well insulated.
Any other discussion? All in favor of approving this ordinance, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Got tongue tied there for a minute. All right, we have Ms. Patrina Carter here this morning with the Tri-County Community Action Agency. Welcome, Ms. Carter.
Thank you. Is it okay if my executive assistant gives you some pamphlets?
Absolutely.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with you all once again. Just wanted to come in and just give some information on some things that we've been doing at Tri-County Community Action Agency. And just like everyone else, when COVID hit, we closed down thinking we'd go home for 2 weeks, and it was a few months. And so we went out of the office mid-March and we returned in June. Our emergency services, of course, continued. We continued to assist people with food and shelter as needed. In our Head Start classroom opened in September. We had in-person and virtual classes offered to our students, and we were successful in being able to continue class from September to currently. Classes will end June 15th. And so, excuse me, we are grateful that we were able to do some in-person learning for students in Mecklenburg County throughout that time. We also offered virtual for those families that did not feel safe in having their children return to the classroom. And so we only had to shut a classroom down one time. We shut down because a student did turn up positive. And so then 2 of our teachers were infected. Thankfully, no one was seriously ill where they had to be hospitalized. But other than that, we had a successful school year, and we are happy about that. We do have the Chase City classroom did open. We have not done a ribbon cutting due to COVID restrictions, but we will do a post-opening ribbon cutting, and we will let you all know when that is done. We had to relocate our lacrosse classroom. We're looking at opening that classroom in South Hill in August of 2021. We also have a partnership with Microsoft to open a tech access lab, and hopefully that will be opening by August as well. And so there are a lot of things that have been happening. Even though COVID has reared its head, we continue to service the public here in Mecklenburg County. As you can see in our pamphlet, we gave you some of the numbers. Even though the numbers are down, we continue to service families in this county. And we are looking forward to a brighter year. Hopefully, we will be able to get out more, and we will be able to give even more services to the public. But I really wanted to come and say thank you for your support of this agency and the work that we do here in Mecklenburg County.
Okay, well, thank you. Anybody got any questions of Ms. Carter?
Just like to say, Mr. Hallgrove and I are delighted to serve on Tri-County Community Action Board. And our newest member is Sandy Gregory, Social Service Director that joined the Tri-County Community Action Board. So he's still growing, and Mecklenburg represented well for the work that they're doing.
Very good.
Thank you all.
Well, thank you, Ms. Carter, for bringing us that information, and thank you for the work that you did.
Indeed, thank you.
Okay, we have our registrar here this morning, Mr. Corwin, to talk about something going on with precincts.
Yes, sir. Legislature this year passed a bill that said that we cannot operate a precinct that has a split in it. It has to be wholly contained within the congressional district, Senate district, the local district, or any other district that there might be. And we actually have one, believe it or not. It's the town of Broadnax. There are 18 voters that vote in Mecklenburg County, and since the town is split, the state considers that a split precinct. And the reason for me being here today is basically to ask y'all to include in your minutes that y'all will approve my office of continuing to run a quote-unquote split precinct. Nothing will change for the voters of the county. They just have to have it on record that we request this waiver so that we can continue to operate things as we have in the past. It won't affect them. The only other option is that Brunswick absorbs my 18 voters by something y'all would have to do. So this would be the quickest and easiest way to do it.
All right, so we have to approve that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Anybody got any questions on this? All right, we need a motion then to approve the registrar's office continuing to operate a split precinct.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that a motion that we request this waiver for a split precinct.
All right, we have a motion to, accept this waiver or to create this waiver. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All
And
right,
I got one more thing, if you don't mind.
Oh, yes, sure.
Coming up next time y'all decide to run for Board of Supervisors and anybody that's running for public office, I know you all love doing campaign finance, but they are going to require that that be done online this year. That is out of my hands. The state legislature passed that as well. So they'll be using an online reporting system called Comet. Before it all takes place, I've already talked with the Department of Elections, and I'm going to have their person who's responsible for it come down to Mecklenburg and teach a class on how to actually use their system and software so that everybody can become familiar with it. And I'll probably do that the year that everybody starts to run, right around filing time. So I just wanted to give you all a heads up that that's something else that's coming down the pipe, and that was out of our control, but the legislature said everybody has to file online now.
Okay.
I think he's covering himself with "Don't shoot the messenger."
Bingo.
Thank you, Jason.
Yes, sir.
All right, Budget and Finance Committee report, Mr. Spain.
Good morning to all. The Budget and Finance Committee met on Monday, May the 2nd, 2021 at 6:05 p.m. in the Board of Supervisors meeting room. I assume each person had this, read along with me. Okay. Member present were Glanza Spain, Chair, and Charles Jones, David Brinkley, Jim Jenner, and Sterling Wilkerson. Also present, Glenn Barber and Hargrove, and Tom Towner, Virtue, thank him for coming in, Virtue, Wayne Carter, County Administrator, Judy Sheffield, Ed Taylor, and Samuel Langsford. The chair called the meeting to order. Mr. Carter present the FY 21-22 budget. The budget included a 5% increase across the board increase for the county and school board employees. The budget very similar to last year's budget. We were not able to fully fund the $75,000 increase requested by the rescue squad. Their funding was increased by $50,000 each. A new training coordinator was requested by the fire and rescue and staff. We'll try and fund this next year budget. The request by CSB for an increase was also funded an additional $50,000 instead of their $75,000 request. The school board include a local increase of $931,183 for a salary match to the salary of 5% increase, and an addition of $1,541,147 for addition debt service.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, sir. Secondary roads, Mr. Brinkley.
The Secondary Roads Committee met on May 10th, 2021 at 8 a.m. in the Board of Supervisors conference room. Members present were David Brinkley, Chairman, Claudia Lundy, Clancy Spain, and Sterling Wilkerson. Also present, Tommy Johnson, VDOT Resident Engineer, Kevin Smith, Assistant VDOT Resident Engineer, Glenn Barber, Charles Jones, Andy Hargrave, Tom Tanner, Wayne Carter, County Administrator, Judy Sheffield, Assistant County Administrator. The chairman called the meeting to order. Mr. Johnson reviewed the current 6-year plan in which roads are currently on the plan. He also reviewed proposed funding for the plan, which is $3.4 million. Currently, it costs approximately $155,000 per mile for the rural rustic upgrade to each unpaved road. The next road on the plan should be based on the mileage then from the 2005 plan. Just to kind of give you a little update on how that is. The old plan, like I say, was in 2005. That was put out there years ago with a list of roads on this plan. And a few years ago, we decided to continue to keep that plan because we didn't want to take people off of that that's been on that waiting 15 years and then just completely remove them. So we kept that plan. And then, but every other road would be the highest road count on that list. So that's how we come up with this list of additional roads that we added to the plan this year. And they will be in this order. Route 699, Staunton River Road. 604H, that's Willett Mill Road. 793, Reese's Dead End. 672, Bowles Road. 603, Estes Road. 675, Hayes Mill Road. 607, Wood Lane Road. 773, Topeka Lane. 623, Ray Road. 757, Allgood Lane. 615, Cannon Ferry Road. 721, State Line Road. 668, Dry Creek Road. 680, Sweetwater Lane. And 622, Lone Oak Road. Upon a motion by Mr. Wilkinson, the committee unanimously recommended the above list of roads to be added to the 22-27 six-year plan and advertised for public hearing at the June board meeting. The committee will need to present this to the board to take a public hearing at the June 14, 2021 board meeting for the adoption for the 2022 through 27. That being no further business, the meeting was adjourned. Well, Mr. Chairman, I put that on a motion that we accept this road. Like I say, there's a lot of roads that most times it's one or two, sometimes it's none, and we just added 15 roads. So we're working on that dirt road list.
Excellent. Great. All right, so you heard the motion that we accept the road committee's recommendation, and also they recommend that we hold a public hearing on this on June the 14th at our regular board meeting. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, sir. It's an easy job, isn't it, Mr. Brankin?
No problem. Anybody want it?
No. You're doing so good, I wouldn't dare want to spoil that. County Administrator, Mr. Carter.
Yes, sir. You've got the building permits report. Actually, for us, this was a fairly slow month, only 10 new houses, but our building permits all told were up across the board. You can look, we're doing double what we were last year at this time for this month. We have a number of them out at Microsoft for some upgrades to some existing materials out there. Roberts permits, again, you're looking at almost double the numbers from last year. Animal Warden's report, got any questions on either of those? We were able to adopt out approximately 70% or return to owner 70% of the animals. Sheriff's call for service, he's in the back somewhere. If you have any questions on that, we did have doing selective enforcement. They did about 280 tickets, regular traffic another 40. And they are working on the backlog down at the courts. You have Tommy here with VDOT report. You want to go over anything on yours, Tommy?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and board members. You got the monthly report. It's pretty standard for this time of year. I'd just like to expand on some of that. This morning, we closed Route 710 Loose Endless Dirt Road. We're doing a bridge repair project with state forces. Weather permitting, that work should be completed by July 2nd. And we did notify all the appropriate people, including the 911 center. So weather permitting, that'll be open July 2nd. You might have noticed it's the spring paving season, and Whitehurst Paving got the contract for the surface treatment in Mecklenburg, and they are currently working on that. And we are currently doing some safety mooring at intersections. We did complete our little pickup in Mecklenburg County, little pickup prior to our first mowing cycle. And so basically we picked up all of the primary rates in the high volume secondary, which in high volume secondary included 903. Just for numbers, we got over 1,600 bags of litter, and it cost us $30,000. So, to pick it up. And we had to do that under contract in state forces because we're just like you guys. We hadn't had any inmate labor since March of 2020. And finally, I would just like to touch on the debris cleanup from the February 13th and 14th ice storm. There's a lot of questions on that. We're using a statewide contract from the Virginia Department of Emergency Management contract. And these guys are working 7 days a week and supplemented by VDOT crews. But the work is ongoing. The list and the road list in Mecklenburg is getting smaller every day. So hopefully by the end of the month, we'll be finished in Mecklenburg. But it was a lot of questions about how it was working, but I talked to several of y'all that talked to me. But basically, one crew went around with a bucket truck and cut the limbs that were hanging and, left it on the side of the road. And then the other crew comes around with those big trucks with the grabber hooks on them, and they pick it up. And they carry it to a site where they have a tub grinder, and then it's ground up, and then it's carried to the final resting place. So anyway, estimated cost for the Richmond district, we are part of the Richmond district, 14 counties. The 3 hardest hit counties were Lunenburg, Dinwiddie, and Nottaway. But just the estimated cost for this cleanup, $22.9 million. So we all hope that that's the ice storm of the century. So, any questions? I'd be glad to.
Tom, I know, I guess I'm real sensitive to this because I had an accident, but I noticed the grass on the shoulders is starting to get on up now. What is the cutting schedule for?
Well, we're cutting some intersections now, Mr. Barber, but we're going to start the full mowing cycle the 14th or 15th of June. I can't remember what that Monday is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if anybody we are monitoring the intersections now for safety, but in coordination, we got to get all this debris up too. So some roads may get started a little bit earlier, but
I understand, yeah, okay.
Tom,
Anybody else got any questions?
Yeah, Tom, in the future, is it these contractors that doing these limbs, cutting them up and getting them up, can that be, is it being offered to local contractors because that's a lot of money and, out there that could be used locally?
Well, we were asked to provide a list of all local contractors because when the ice storm hit, we used a lot of local contractors to assist our state forces. So they got a piece of the work, they got some of the work, and we provided the information to the prime contractor with the Virginia Department of Emergency Management. So we reached out and gave them that information, but it was their option to who they got. So they got, if you've seen those bucket trucks these guys got that are working the storm cleanup, have a whole lot bigger reach, than the local one. But we tried to make the local people available and give them the contact information. But, they just didn't reach out to them. They reached out to a few, and we've had to reach out for a few too because our contractor on record and on file couldn't do all the work. So we did push out a little additional work, after the storm to some local contractors. But we used like 14 to 15 during the height of the storm of local contractors that put together 2 and 3 man crews, to assist our state forces.
Right.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, 2 more items. You have the Southside Behavioral Health monthly update in your packet. And finally, Superintendent Mr. Nichols is here to give you an update on schools.
Thank you very much, members of the board. Usually we give this program with a PowerPoint presentation, but today I have a relatively recent video that I want to show. I'm not sure why it's not coming up on your screen yet.
The black screen is not good.
It's not good, but I'm going to see if it's just because I have to push this button for some reason. There we go. And it's a drone flyover of the new school. I'll stop it occasionally to be able to point out specific things. As we get up higher, I would like to point out that you can see the new school project with that started on the middle school end with the gyms. That part, the roofing is completely done. The brick is being laid on that part now. The school plan was to start there, move through the cafeterias in the back to the gyms on the high school side, do the classroom and the career activity center on the high school end, come around and begin doing the work on the administrative area, the middle school area, and then you can't see it as well yet by this, where we are with on this shot, but behind that wall is the auditorium area for the county's auditorium. So we're excited that it's coming along very well. You can tell that the cafeteria areas are even more complete. Actually, went by the other day, there are windows in the two cafeterias. This is the middle school cafeteria. This is the high school cafeteria. Windows are up. They're still covered, but the windows are up in the middle school section. And then this is actually the place where the food services will be prepared in the kitchens. Roofs are on the high school gyms. And then we've got the first floor in place, with the second floors being actually poured for the floors. If you go by there now, you'll actually see walls beginning to go up on the second floor of the high school. We're beginning to move into the floors on the second floor of the middle school project, and we'll get a better shot later on of what the auditorium is beginning to look like. So that's moving along very well as we go through it. Over to the Clarksville side, or the west end of the school site, you will be able to see that the middle school athletic facilities are coming along very well. This gives us a little bit of a opportunity to see the hill. This is actually, you can't tell as well, but this is a 30-foot hill right here. So we're thinking that that's probably going to be where we'll start a new sport of snow skiing in the wintertime when the weather is done. That's going to be one of the highest places for something of that nature. But in this area, this is actually the middle school track and football field. And then over in this area, we'll get closer, will be the baseball field for the middle school, the softball field for the middle school, and the poles for the fencing actually will go up. These are practice fields that are going in, and we'll be able to use those for a significant number of activities with the community as well, with great places here to be able to sit. And we're working with Microsoft on some options that might be available to help the community with some tourist attractions and things that could go on outdoors on special occasions. You might also be able to tell over in this far center, the Smiley's is beginning to put in the facilities for the sewer line to come in and be connected. Water's already connected on the various places. So as we look, a lot of the extra rock that we got out and dirt is coming in right here in this area. You can see some of the lines going out for irrigation and so forth there. And then I know of particular interest to all of us as we move over into the far area up toward the Farrer Farm. The edging is back through here with the old railroad bed, right through there as the part of the edging. And then this, I'm going to go back just a little bit. This, excuse me, let me get out of there. Over on this far area is where the agriculture section actually begins. This will be fields that we will have at this point planned to be able to plant some vineyard areas and areas for putting in a variety of different crops. Can't seem to get rid of that. Then we've got significant area of forestry right in here to be able to do some forestry work that will be very beneficial for the students to learn. You can see some of the holding ponds that are going to be in there that we'll be able to use as well. Coming back in toward the school, you'll be able to see from the edge, you'll be able to tell that the roads now, although we haven't paved them all, the roads are actually moving all the way to the back end of the building, all completely surrounding the building, as the buses will come up this back alleyway, and then buses will park where you see those cars, and the central utility plant is completely bricked up, and actually we've covered for dust not to be able to bother some of the things that are going on. But you can see the roofs coming along very well. Now you can see in this area the place that has given us the most difficulty with rock is where the baseball, the softball fields, those two are up in this area. This is the baseball field for the high school, softball field for the high school, and then the football field with track and that whole center will be in this area. And they're still getting stone out of that area. So that was there. This will be an area with the agriculture program as well, that crops will be grown in. The greenhouses that we're working on will be right here. There'll be 2 greenhouses right in this area for the agriculture program to work with. And then we'll move over. That'll give you a better opportunity to see those fields. And here again, you can sort of get an overview. This area is also slated for agriculture use, but there's a significant amount of extra dirt that has had to come out of that for some of the areas under the main part. So we'll yet to see exactly how that piece right there will be used. But you can see 2 ponds here. The ponds are there. The edge of this pond is where the railroad track came through. That one, as well as this one, will be used for aquaponics and that type of thing. There's a field right here. The area that the Board of Supervisors purchased extra is right in here. Excuse me for that, but right in here. That included that pond, but not this one. And then we were able to secure this area and this field for the agriculture program. So altogether, there's over 75 acres of land that will be available for our agriculture program and the environmental science study area. And we're very excited about that. We're already having meetings. Mr. Brankley has met with us a couple of times. We've got the Farm Bureau that has been very generous in working with us on putting in some of the funding that we'll need for fences and equipment of a variety of types. So, and this will give you a better idea. The edge of the field for us will be right here. So this barn is a part of ours now, and then this will probably be used for animal sciences. This is right now this area where the Cleveland Construction has their business, and then some of the sub vendors are here with electrical and so forth. They will be taken out. When Cleveland Construction is done, this will be turned over to the agriculture program and will be the center of the ag program. There will be built classrooms, of course, inside the building itself, but we'll be hiring the person who will be in charge of the ag program this summer. We'll be moving forward to get that set up as a nonprofit organization. It'll have its own address and everything for the programs moving forward. And then you can see the facility from the back end with the parking decks. The parking lots are coming along very well. The person flying the drone is not the most experienced, so some of it's a little bit shaky moving through. So again, buses will be coming in this entrance and moving around this way to unload for the high school here, the middle school here. And parents and the visitors will be coming in the front entrance and coming through here for, so they won't be backed up into the Highway 58. This property is private, but she's been a great neighbor so far, so we're very thankful for her. And we are looking forward to having our first business opportunity to tour the facilities on May the 18th with the joint Chamber of Commerce meeting there to talk about things going on. So you can see Highway 58, you can see practically over to the lake, and we feel like that's given you a pretty good tour of where we are at this point, although in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks since I did this, it's just been an amazing amount of more work that's been done. It's always going on. So any thoughts, any questions as we have gone through?
Well, one comment, I told people when we started this, this project that most folks had no concept of the size of this facility. And I think you can see here, puts it all in perspective as to just how huge a project this is. One question I do have, Paul, is I know everybody's aware that we've had all these disruptions in supply chains, you know, with building materials and, well, practically everything. Any concerns about any of that causing us any headaches as far as the school?
Well, again, I'll point out from Cleveland Construction, you know, right now we're 100% on budget and on schedule. And I'm very thankful. We had Wayne bring to us the idea. We had some discussion before, but Wayne was very supportive, and you all, about hiring Skanska as an oversight company. And Skanska has saved us enough money so far to pay for themselves plus some. So that's been a great addition. I have come to trust them completely. They've been on the ball every day, following up on weekly meetings and with us, and we're very pleased, and they are agreeing that we're on schedule and on time and pleased. So right now, according to what we had budgeted, we feel like we're okay.
Excellent.
All right, question. Is there any more tree removal for clearance, or are you through?
We're through with that part of it.
Okay.
And we feel like the trees that we have there that are left are definitely going to help serve us as making it a beautiful location. You know, right, for instance, right here in this, and when I move up there with the arrow, it'll block it. But that entrance, as people come in, they're going to see the school up on a knoll, and we'll be able to use the agriculture program to put probably with greenery the image of the mascot, the phoenix. We'll have trees on one side, and we'll have a fountain in that pond right on the right side coming in. So it's going to be a beautiful entrance for everybody that's coming in. I would say to you that with the plans that we have, in fact, I can tell you because I've already had people in the state communicate with us about the Career Academy process and how we're building it as a larger school, but it's going to be 6 career centers within for smaller learning communities. And they're adjusted directly to our economic development, state economic development, and specifically with Region 3. There's a significant amount of interest in how the whole thing is being done. We're looking at a lot of funding from both federal and state government that's looking to come in for construction projects, and schools are included in that. Now, that won't have an impact on this, but as we're looking at moving forward with renovation of the elementary schools, we've already got some of our initial information and applications in for whatever state monies and federal monies would be available for that. And combined, I think it's going to be a huge positive impact on economic development for businesses that we're looking at coming in. So we're thankful to be where we are with this at this time. In fact, I will be giving a presentation at the State Rural Education and Economic Construction Program that's coming up this summer with this.
Do you anticipate any problem from the east and the west off of 58 of exiting and entering the school's property?
Well, I mean, that's a conversation we've had with the Department of Motor Vehicles and Highway Department all along. Right now, all of the entrance and exiting, and again, it'll block it when I move up, but when all of the buses will be coming in the back end. So that's taking them off of the major highway, other than when they're coming in on the major highway and coming through that way. Now, we've talked about a stoplight right there where Triangle Grocery and right across, and we don't know what will go in on either of the other two corners. I anticipate something will kind of come in across to be competing with Triangle Grocery, but I haven't heard of anything happening in there yet. Our conversations were if and when something comes in there, then they would have to take a look at that again as far as traffic lights or anything. They don't want to put traffic lights on 58. And so they're very hesitant about that. Any visitors, any daytime persons coming in on this entrance, as they come in, we've got sufficient, by the planning, we've got sufficient roadway for them to have to come around significantly so they won't back up into Highway 58. But when they come back out, they're going to be channeled back to that very same exit. And if they're going east towards South Hill, they're going to have to actually turn west and go down to right in this area and then do a U-turn to go back up that way. And I don't think that's going to be very convenient, but it's probably the best way to handle some of that traffic at this point. That's what was planned.
Mr. Pickles, one question. On this picture, the western side of that school, is there additional parking on that end of the building also?
There will be parking in one of those two areas, yes,
Okay.
for things going on at the middle school fields.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. We're still very excited about it.
Next year, this time will be very exciting. Because we think about this time next year, the buildings will be done and we'll begin moving. We won't have the athletic facilities completed.
So
But we do-
about
and
this time next year, we can expect to get the grand tour.
About this time, we'll be having a grand opening of the building and looking for a grand tour, yeah.
Thank you.
That's all, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thanks, sir. Okay, we've received a letter passed on to us by the Mecklenburg Brunswick Regional Airport. Lisa Gillespie is unfortunately having to resign from that board for family reasons, and so we need to reappoint someone. We do have a Mr. Carter received an email from John Zubrod, who's chairman of the Mecklenburg Brunswick Regional Airport, and he is requested that we consider replacing Ms. Gillespie with Charles McGann. And so we don't necessarily have to take any action on this today if you don't wish to, or we can go forward with nominations.
Move to appoint Mr. McGann, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion to appoint Mr. Charles McGann to the Mecklenburg Brunswick Regional Airport Commission. Any other nominations? Any discussion on the nomination? All in favor of the nomination, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Also, in your packet, you have the Roanoke River Service Authority minutes of their March 23rd meeting. That's in there for informational purposes.
Mr. Chairman, on that, I will say that they did through the budget thing, there will be no rate increase for next year.
Okay, so no water rate increases from River Service, great. You also have in your package the consent calendar. Hope you had an opportunity to review that. If there are no questions concerning that, we need a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Chairman, I motion we approve the consent calendar as presented.
Now, you heard the motion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, that concludes our regular agenda items. So at this time, we will go to public comments, and I will tell you that in public comments, you get 3 minutes to speak. This is a public comment session, so we don't take any action on anything that you bring before us in a public comment session. It's for informational purposes and for future consideration. And we would appreciate your respect that 3-minute time frame. Who we got, Mr. Carter?
First is Ron Jenkins from Virginia Loggers Association.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. May I approach and, Mr. Chairman, and give you a packet?
Sure.
Thank you very much for your staff.
Thank you. Thank you.
A little cheesy, so this is the 30-minute.
Thank you.
The 30-minute version, but I'll do it in 3.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate your time. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you,
Sir. So thank you very much. Today I'm here and it's a pleasure to be here and I'm certainly privileged. I'm Ron Jenkins. I'm the Executive Director of the Virginia Loggers Association. My wife and I reside in Goochland County, but we serve logging businesses and forest products across Virginia. Today we're here to ask you to exempt or to create a tax ordinance, revise your tax ordinance, which would exempt the personal property and the machinery and tools taxes on forest harvesting equipment. All of the details and information are in the package. The second thing then would be to ask that you adopt a budget which exempts that particular item in your budget. I'd just like to take a few minutes then to say, under 3, of course, to say that there are some important things that I would point out just to emphasize. First, these are small family-owned businesses I represent today. These are folks that are with me also that will be speaking and tell you more about the details. But this particular thing that we were able to accomplish in the General Assembly was accomplished with the support of the full Virginia Farm Bureau Association. They agreed that forest harvesting and farming or traditional farming are exactly alike. And because of that, we were able to get a unanimous support in the General Assembly to move forestry equipment under to the tax code of the state of Virginia. That is where the farm machinery now resides. And it simply reads, and there's a copy of the code in your book that just says, farm machinery, including forest harvesting equipment. And that's how we are here today because of that authority. And we would ask that you so move at the appropriate time for the motion to accept that. I would just say beyond farming, logging businesses, or small family-owned businesses that do not have the protections that you might have with USDA and agriculture. It's also one of the most dangerous jobs still listed in our VOSHA area. So I would just like for you to leave one image and think about it this way, because I believe that markets are probably as hard as some of the more dangerous types of the work. Imagine every log truck you see, or the whole trees, or the logs, chip trucks, that is their commodity. So these small family-owned businesses are selling that. They have to sell it to a mill in order to make things work. And I can't imagine anyone in Mecklenburg, when the markets are down for mills, to want to buy a load of logs or a load of tree length or a chip truck. It's that kind of thing. We have markets that are fluctuating daily and regularly present issues with our logging companies that they cannot, they just can't sustain them when the markets are down. And this is.
Time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much for your time. I think there's several other folks to speak today as well.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Next up is Vance Wright.
Good morning to the board, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning.
Many of you knew my father, Charles Wright, who was in business as a logger, trucking. My brother and I still continuing the business. I'm here to kind of continue speaking on what Ron Jenkins was here for. We would like to get this tax exemption on the machinery and tools tax. It gets expensive. I mean, our bills are high on everything we do. I've got about 35 employees right now. I pay right at $2 million in wages to those employees. I pay over $500,000, depending on fuel. I'm $500,000 to $1 million in fuels cost a year, depending on what the price is. It's steadily going up right now. I mean, we get squeezed everywhere in the logging business, whether it's through weather, prices. Everybody knows how high lumber is at Lowe's. We haven't got a dime increase for pine lumber. It didn't flow through. It stops at the sawmills. I'm also part owners of hardwood sawmills, and I've got several partners. We have 3 hardwood sawmills with around 125 employees. I mean, we haven't seen those increases on the hardwood side that the pine has. It's totally different markets, just, extreme differences in things. But y'all see some increases on things, but it doesn't trickle down all the time. Loggers, land owners aren't seeing it. This past year, we paid $4 million roughly in stumpage, just through our business of buying timber. Some of it to Mecklenburg land owners, some of it to joining counties where we work. But we do have good, strong businesses. I mean, we pay good wages. We have vacation pay, health insurance. We have paid vacation for our employees. Those are good jobs in Mecklenburg County that we need to be able to support more. Most things in Mecklenburg County, businesses, money leaves the county. We're paying expenses. Walmarts, most of your grocery stores, none of them are locally owned anymore. They leave the counties. Ag and forestry, we bring money to the counties because we're growing something and producing a product that leaves and goes away. We bring money in. And I think those type businesses need to be supported as much as we can so we can help increase our revenue for these counties. Because, that's what it's all about. We all need markets for our materials. If we don't have markets for the materials, we don't even have a product to sell, then these businesses will go away. What I do will not be viable if we don't have a market for the products. We need more markets for our products in our areas. But if y'all have any questions about anything, please feel free to ask. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, sir.
Next is Adam Wilburn.
Good morning, Mr.
Morning.
Chairman, board members. I'm Adam Wilburn, owner of Wilburn Land and Timber here in Clarksville. To follow what Vance said, we're struggling with, our markets and, this, like Ron said, our, products vary up and down. We have seasonal times of the year that we can make more money than others. Sometimes we have to lose money just to stay going. And we are, I've got 48 employees, and, we pay health insurance, offer health insurance, vacation pay, and we pay, very good salaries, and we offer a lot of, good jobs for the county. And, as Vance was saying, we buy all of our fuel local, which is a lot of fuel. We buy a lot of timber in the area from, local people, from some of the board members here. We're just trying to, make it as a small business. Logging is, I I consider it part farming. I'm a farmer too. And, you know, it's something that, you know, kind of like Ron said, we don't have but so many markets we can sell to. I mean, we can't haul our products 500 miles away. And, you know, our local markets are, you know, few and far between. And when, you know, when they fill up, our jobs are cut, you know, quota hits. We're limited to how much money we can make. And, you know, if we're limited to what we can do, but we're taxed, you know, on the back end. And, you know, when Farm Bureau and Virginia legislature have, you know, passed this, you know, I'd like y'all to take consideration in, you know, looking at it too. You know, and I spoke to David Brinkley about the, you know, the road deal. You know, I live on a 0.4 of a mile dirt road and employ 48 employees. And, you know, my dirt road is, so I know some of these roads that were just talked about, you know, being paved or tar and gravel, whatever, ever. And, you know, I feel like I'm, you know, being taxed, but, you know, I'm not really receiving any, as a local business, you know, any perks. I mean, you know, I've got, you know, fuel trucks coming in there, my employees, you know, businesses coming to, you know, bring us parts and stuff like that. And, you know, we're dealing with a dusty old dirt road that, you know, and I will say, you know, after speaking with David, he spoke to
Time, Mr. Chairman.
VDOT and got it, you know, much better. So,
All right,
Thanks for your
thank you.
time.
Thank you very much.
Next is Martin Robinson. They left. That's all I have, sir.
Okay. All right, well, thank you, folks, for your comments. We'll certainly take those under consideration. Board member matters. Let's see. Ms. Jennings, you want to start with that?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First thing I want to do is recognize the service that Bill Blaylock had on this board, almost 50 years. And Wayne, I guess he was one of the longest in the state serving on local government at one time.
One time he was the longest active at that time. We had the longest active and the oldest board member. We had both.
Yeah, I want to recognize him. It was a privilege to serve with him for about, 16 or 17 years. And I remember, I'll tell one story. I've got a lot, but I'll tell one quick one. But they were getting ready to close Buckhorn Elementary, Paul, and Bill called me up and he said, they're going to have a meeting down there. And he said, you need to come on down here, boy. And he said, put a coat and tie on. So I did. I went down there and met Bill and went in the cafeteria there, and the place was full, standing on the sides. I mean, people standing everywhere on the sides. And the moderator opened the meeting, and he introduced myself and Bill, and he introduced me first. And people clapped, normal, what you would expect. And then they introduced Bill, and standing ovation, clapping for a minute. And after that was all said and done, Bill and I sat down, and he looked over at me. He said, boy, I believe they like me better than they do you. But anyway, he was a unique individual that gave a lot to the county, gave a lot of service, and true conservative, and told it like it was, and didn't do anything behind anybody's back. He met you head on. He was a man of his word. So I appreciate his service to the county. And Paul, as far as the new school, I would think that's probably going to be one of the best schools in the county. Just looking at that right there. I mean, not the county, but the state. It's going to be number one in my opinion. And I appreciate all the work that y'all have done on it. And everybody has come together from day one on that project, and it's going to be something this county can be mighty proud of. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thanks, sir. Mr. Franklin?
Okay, well, I agree with everything Jim said about Mr. Blaylock. I mean, he was one of a kind. I think if anybody could say, I did it my way, he certainly did it exactly his way. But I think we all got a story, but I know when I first come on the board, because I had dealt with Bill with fertilizer stuff for years and all, and he was a handful, and but the first 3 or 4 meetings I think we had here, I didn't vote exactly the way he voted on one issue, and he come up to me, he said, "Boy, I tell you something, I thought a whole lot of you did it, but I ain't too damn sure about you." But we worked it out, and it worked out good. Definitely a good friend and all thing. Yeah, and I think about we just talking about a budget of almost $250 million. I expect he would smack every one of us right now if he could reach down and get us right here with spending that kind of money. Just thinking, but the schools and showing how that's coming along and getting a little bit involved with the agricultural program and stuff like that, and getting to see a lot of that, and y'all guys with the foresters in there, that's part of that program and stuff like that that's going on and stuff like that. It should help us all in the agriculture, forestry, all the other things that 6 things educational part is doing that school. It's going to be pretty unique, I think, to do that. Wayne, I mentioned this a little bit to you the other day, and I don't know what, but it's a lady that lives over in my area it's a shut-in, and she's bedridden, and we went over and talked to her the other day, and she hadn't been able to get her COVID shot, so transportation to get a lady out bedridden cost her $650 to go one way, go there and back to get her shot. Then she has to do it again 2 weeks or whatever, and do it again. I don't understand why the health department can't visit, and I would assume that she ain't the only one that's out there like that. We got shut-ins and stuff like that, but $1,300 to go get a COVID shot is ridiculous, But so and I, like I say, I assume there's others. So, is it any chance we could check on
Working
that?
on it, but
To me, if we're gonna go by Mecklenburg Health Department, then we need to take, that's our citizens. It's in, and I got a feeling it's in all our districts. It's something that needs to be done, I think.
you realize that while it's called Mecklenburg Health Department, it's a
And
state
I know
agency,
that,
okay?
but our name is up there. Our name is up there. We're not gonna be a part of it. We need to take Mecklenburg off of it and put Virginia, whatever, on it. But that I feel that needs to be addressed. That's all I got.
That's a good point, Mr. Franklin. I never really thought about the fact that you have people that just can't get to these facilities. I hadn't really thought about that. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yes, sir.
You always think there's a family member or somebody that would be able to.
Well, some of these folks may not have family.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Mr. Hargrove?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I sat beside Mr. Blaylock, and everybody spoke very well of him. And there were a couple of times in our session that when he sat down, his seat never stopped going down. And Mr. Gordon said, "Mr. Hargrove done it." And I said, "I ain't had nothing to do with it." So we played games on him and so forth. But him and I became to know each other well, especially in conversation about church. And one thing about talking with him, he knew the Lord. And so that was a good thing. The other thing is that I'm very ecstatic about how the progress of the school is going. And Mr. Nichols, thank you so very much for informing us. The third thing that I want everyone to know, that I thank Mr. Brankley for not using that light over there where he said it. That's all I have, Mr.
I did use it earlier.
Ms. London, I can't see you from here. I keep overlooking you. I'm gonna come back to you.
I think you're doing it on purpose. Okay, I'm sorry that I wasn't with you all in your last 2 committee meetings, but my computer, I live way out in the country, and it doesn't want to act right sometimes, so I didn't get the message because I normally doesn't miss any meetings. But I'm here today. I'm glad that this board revisited the 6-year plan, because some of those roads are badly needed. They were badly needed before they revisit them today. I'd like to thank Mr. Johnson and VDOT for the work he's doing on the highways. I think he's doing a great job since taking over. Thanks to Mr. Nichols for the update on the schools, the constant update on the schools. and also for the souvenir cups that he's given us. I hope he's not trying to get some for those cups back in return. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A lot of what I was gonna talk about has been previously covered, but, talk about Mr. Bowler, keep their family in their prayers. They had a good service for him. It was very fitting. It really was a good deal, but, I know this is it's an impossible seat to fill here. But I think he and I thought a lot alike about certain issues, and I was honored to be, requested to come and fill his seat at the time when he stepped down. And, just hopefully we can carry on a successful board with that. So, I'm glad to see, the good investment and the opportunity for the ag program at the school. I think it's very extensive, which is sorely needed. Forestry as well for this new school. I don't think there's any secret to the driving forces in the past for our county, it was ag and forestry and other things. So I don't think we should cut any corners at all with that program. And it looks like we're going the right way with that. And finally, this budget, like Mr. Brinkley said, $250 million without a tax increase. And what we have going on. The video itself right there just screams tax increase, at the school. We've got a lot to be thankful for here. Prior leadership as well as present. So that's all I have. Thanks, sir.
Mr. Tanner.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Along the lines of Mr. Blaylock, I got to meet him a few times prior to coming on the board, but I'll definitely say his service to the county, he was a legend. Sterling, you do have big shoes to fill, that's for sure. Thank Mr. Nichols and the school system. No, last week was Teacher Appreciation Week. It seems to be an appreciation week for somebody every week. I know firefighters was one day, so I want to thank all our public safety and teachers and the staff and the administration because they do a tremendous job. And I know they see the light at the end of the tunnel. The end of the year is coming, but next year will be here before we know it. And the presentation he gave on the school was just amazing. It's going to be a top-notch facility, and I think it'll serve our citizens and students well. And thank you to Wayne and his group. I know they've worked hard on this budget. I do hope with the input from the Logging Association that down the road that the Budget Committee will look at that. And like I said, with a budget that we're working on and the amount of money and what we're looking to do, I think the county is in a good spot and we're going to continue to grow and continue to bring jobs to the county and just continue to improve. That's all I've got, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, sir.
Well, I'd like to just tag on to Tanner on that. The Budget and Finance Committee, put a lot of time and work into preparing this budget. Hopefully, everything will be approved. There might be some minor adjustments, but it requires a lot of staff time to go through each item, raises, to be able to put the 5% in there for all the employees, including school. Is really remarkable and not have to raise the taxes. Also, I've been on economic development with Clarksville for 20-something years, and of course I'm head of the economic development here in this committee. And Mr. Nichols brought that up, and I just want to say that when you look at all the integral parts of selling this area, Angie Kellett's certainly having the new school system and what it's going to offer is going to be a drawing card for any company who wants to locate here. I think it's going to be a good selling feature that we, sometimes it's like a dog chasing its tail. You got, where people say, well, they don't have the good schools, so we're not going to locate there, or where they don't have the transportation or the roads don't measure up. Well, there's always something, but it seems like everything's coming together for our area. With the highways, with Empower, with the schools, the airports, it takes all those integral spokes of the wheel to be able to have a really strong economic plan for Mecklenburg County, and I just appreciate all that goes involved with that. And then the roads, Mr. Brantley, he's heading that up, and that's a tough job, and trying to figure out, you know, and if y'all didn't get your road, you need to talk to him. It's his fault.
Especially if it's dusty.
Yeah, that's all.
Thank you. Mr. Spain?
Good morning, board member. I do agree with a lot of what saying. Remember when I first came on the board, I remember Mr. Blaylock, a little short cigar, sitting sort of where Mr. Jones sat. And one day I did not vote to suit him. He said, I thought you were a farmer. He let me know right then that he did not agree with me. Mr. Wilkerson, a lot of been said. You say you cannot fill Mr. Blaylock's shoes. Remind me of when Michael Jordan, when Lamont James came aboard, he said, are you going to be a Michael Jordan? No, I'm going to be a Lamont James. So you be a Sterling Wilkerson. That's key. So on the flagship of the school, Mr. Nicholson, we thank you for the work you've done and doing, and just magnificent of what we're doing in the county and the leaders we have in the county. That's all I can say. It's magnificent with what we're doing, and we are blessed and should continue to work together. Without working together, then we cannot be a good team. And we got some good quarterbacks on this team. Yeah, we got some good players on this team. So let's keep on playing a good game, a winning game. And the budget is outstanding. Other counties look at our budget and look at what we're doing, just for envy of local counties. So thank all for the work they do, and let's keep on doing the best job we're doing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yeah, I don't know, we could sit here and talk about Bill Blaylock all day long. And one thing about Mr. Blaylock is you knew where he stood. And if you didn't want to know what he was thinking, you best not ask. A lot of times you didn't have to ask.
That's right.
But he was, he was a great board member. He loved his constituents out there, and he took care of his folks. He really did. And so our prayers do go out to his family. On the school situation, Mr. Nichols, I tell you what, this thing is going to be so impressive. I'm not so sure you might not have to hire a tour director when you get this thing up and going, because I got a feeling there's a lot of people up and down the eastern seaboard are going to want to come and see this facility and how it's operating and these innovations that you're bringing into it. I think it's going to be pride and joy of this county. I really believe that. The budget, yeah, they're big numbers, for sure. But I think I can sit here and honestly say, as you all know, that there's really no fluff in that budget. I mean, it's money that we've dedicated to spend, for the benefit of this county. And I wish I could say that about the state and federal budgets, but unfortunately, I don't believe I can.
No.
But anyway, yeah, they're big numbers, but trust me, they're good, solid numbers. And thanks to our staff for controlling our costs and keep those costs down, and with that, tax increases to our folks. And that says a lot. That's all I have. Anyone else have anything to bring before this board at this time? If not, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.